what's up? It's Holden here with JT and Title. We talk some baseball with you here on Swing for the Fences. Hope everybody had a good Sunday. Now we got to move on to Monday, a lot of Monday Night Football. But Title, we got baseball here. We're coming down. This is it, last of the week. Want to get your overall impressions on the slate. Start with like how you're attacking pitching from a dollar standpoint, not names. And then we'll hand it off to JT too.
Yeah, so we got a nice 8-game slate on Draftkings, 6 games on FanDuel. Locks a little bit earlier today. Locks at 6:37, so keep that in mind when you're building lineups. We have a clear pitcher up top in Jacob Degrom. He was battling an injury last start that he didn't let his team know about, and which ended up burning me. He got pulled in like the 3rd inning, so that wasn't good, but he's coming back. He didn't miss a start, so I think he's 100% if they're already sending him back out there. And 10-5 is just too cheap in a matchup against Tampa Bay. He is definitely my favorite pitcher up top, and I'll be anchoring my lineups around him. SP2 is definitely a question, and there's definitely a couple guys that you can mix in. Right now, my lean is Lance McCullers. He has the best matchup against Seattle. 8.3K on DraftKings is definitely a reasonable price tag and can get you some Yankees bats. So that's my preference right now. Those are my 2 favorite pitchers on the slate. Some other options that I'll get to after I let JT talk about his, but we also have one clear hitting spot, and that's the Yankees. As you can see, my guy, Giancarlo Stanton right there, completely mispriced on DraftKings. He's 4.6K. We'll get to him later, but yeah, up top, it's Degrom for sure, and then a couple SB2 guys you can mix in.
All right, my man. Let's go, JT. What do we got here today? How are we attacking the slate?
What's going on? It's the first Monday of the last week in baseball, so it's a little sad. It's been a short season, but definitely a good one for many of us. A couple of nice hits over the weekend. Guy up top for 50K on, I think it was Friday night.
You?
Brave stack, one of our subs, not me, one of our subs, but that was beautiful. And then another member ran my Mets stack on Saturday night, took second in a 3-max for $500. So that's some pretty nice results here the last week, in addition to some of our other members taking down some big money in the higher price tournaments. So it's a good night. You've got a lot of aces on the hill tonight, and they're in interesting spots. There's some concerning advanced metrics with some of these guys. Title mentioned Jacob Degrom coming off an injury. He didn't let the team know. It turned into a shit show. What else would you expect with the New York Mets at any point, to be honest? And I can say that having grown up a fan. So, but tonight I think it's pretty clear for me. And when I say it's pretty clear for me, it means I'm going to be going a bit contrarian this evening. There's some pitchers that people really like that I am not on. And so as we talk through the games, we're going to get to it. I think offense is going to be a little bit trickier to find tonight. There's definitely that one obvious spot in Buffalo where that game is tonight. The Yankees, I think you could even look at it's too bad that the Jays only have a couple of lefties in their lineup because Michael King that's where you want to attack him. But it's going to be good. It's going to be a good slate.
All right, let's get into this, Title. We'll start with you on the pitching side of things. So I'd like to say that it's clear cut, but after listening to JT, I'm not so sure about that anymore. DeGrom's up top, 10-5 DraftKings. You're going to be paying up for him on both sites, 11-5 FanDuel. Then it's Luis Castillo, 9-8 and 10.2. What are you doing with the top end of these pitchers here, Title?
Yeah, so Degrom is my guy today. Clearly the best arm on the slate. 10.5K feels too cheap for Jacob Degrom, especially on this slate. So I'm going to be 100% all in on Jacob Degrom. And then SP2, I'm going to be mixing in guys. I mentioned Lance McCullers. I don't love Lance McCullers today. I don't expect like 7 innings, 9 strikeouts and that, but he's also 8.3K. So you have a discount from Luis Castillo, who is 9.8K. It's Castillo against Woodruff in the same game pitching against each other. I expect a good pitching duel there, but I also like targeting and trying to get the win from my pitchers, and it's a little more unknown who's going to get the win in the Woodruff Castillo game. But those two are definitely in play. Brewers and the Reds are playing for something. I will have some Luis Castillo. He's definitely a very good pitcher. He has a lot of strikeout ability. Milwaukee lineup doesn't scare me too much, even though they have been hitting the ball a lot better recently. Daniel Vogelbach has been a huge signing for the Brewers, has absolutely been smashing the ball, but he does strike out a lot. So the couple pitchers that I will have as my SP2 in the rotation are Castillo, McCullers. I am going to have some Brandon Woodruff. And then I like Marquez a little bit, or against the Giants. He is a pretty good pitcher. He's pitching away from Coors, which I always like, in San Fran in a good pitcher's ballpark. And he is a discount. He's the cheapest of the four that I mentioned at $7.8K. So I think he can get you another Yankees bat that the other guys might not be able to get you. So those are the main guys I'm looking at. But it's going to be Jacob Degrom for sure at locking him in.
JT, you locking Degrom in, and you're saying I think your approach could be a little different at pitcher. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right.
Yeah, I think on DraftKings, I'll have probably matching the field on Degrom, which is 70%, right? And it never feels good in tournaments to play a 70% on pitcher. But if you believe, and projections believe, that he's going to be the highest raw scorer, and I believe it, that lineup for Tampa Bay is it's not a bad lineup, but I'm not worried about it with Jacob Degrom. I think a lot would have to happen for him to not have a performance where he's in the top three scoring tonight, and perhaps the top. So I like that option. On FanDuel, it's a little bit harder. He's a little bit more expensive, so there are a couple of pitchers below him that I'll be looking at. I am, at this point, there's and I talked about this before, my BABIP list. I look at recent BABIP. The top three tonight: Lance McCullers, Luis Castillo, Brandon Woodruff. And these guys have been pitching well, and they've been getting a little bit lucky. And I'll be honest, I am contemplating a full fade of Luis Castillo. I'm going to be stacking the Brewers. I'm going to have 20 to 25% Brewers. And Eugenio Suarez, the one price that jumped off the page to me today, it was a miss. He's not in the playbook. I'm going to add him at third base. 3-6 on DraftKings for Eugenio Suarez in the 4-hole. And look, Woodruff has been good. So is Castillo. But again, these guys don't perform at the same rate every night. McCullers on the road, 133 BABIP. He came off an injury. He faced Texas last game. Let's not get excited. I mean, I know the Rangers are blowing up Dylan Bundy. The long-awaited Dylan Bundy blow-up this year happened last game, happened tonight as well. I like Marquez quite a bit. It looks like that lineup's out, and I think he only has to face 3 left-handers. Yaz is out of the lineup. The bottom of that San Francisco lineup is not good. And I'm going to take some shots on Jakey Brubaker against the Cubs, coming on the road after a Sunday night game at home and then traveling in a cold ballpark that's a little bit more pitcher-friendly. So I think I'm going to do a fade on Castillo. I might put him in one lineup just in case I'm way dead wrong, but I don't think I am. These numbers haven't lied to me all year.
So here's my question, guys. It's not really even a question. It's more of just you mentioned the weather. It's not hot anymore. Like, that's it. We're done. We got games. Every game is going to be in the 60s tonight. Some will drop into the 50s. I think we got one game that's going to be played in the 70s. Like, that's it, guys. So how are you adjusting? Title, we'll start with you. How are you adjusting your strategery with the weather now?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons, especially on a slate like today, that I am paying up for the higher price pitchers with the livelier arms with more strikeout upside, because like long fly balls that usually would be out in 90-degree weather, 80-degree weather, I'm hoping are at the warning track or falling a little short for Castillo or Woodruff. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to get luckier more times than not when due to hard contact, that it's just not going to go out of the ballpark because the ball is just not carrying as much in September as it does in July. So we're going to see lower scores from hitters. We're going to see lower scores in general. I think pitchers are going to score more just because more balls are going to stay in the ballpark. So don't expect your 3 home run game from a couple hitters, because the ball is not going to be carrying like it usually does in September in baseball. We're not used to seeing late September games in the regular season during a normal baseball year. I mean, it's obviously with quarantine, COVID and everything, every schedule is different. So this is definitely unique for MLB because regular season isn't going on in September.
It's not?
Well, late September. I mean, you're getting into. All right, I guess I should rephrase that. It's not people fighting. I don't know. I guess you know what I'm trying to say.
You're saying. Don't worry about it. Shh, zippy.
You get what I'm trying to say,
buddy. We're all good. All right, JT, save him. What are you doing with the weather here?
Yeah, for me, during the warmer months and in the beginning of the season, the weather's an amplifier, right? Mm-hmm. If I like a spot or if I feel iffy about a spot, and I take a look and I say, okay, the weather gives me an indication one way or another, fine. Here, the game is going to play more true to the talent of the team and also the patterns of the team, right? So I talk about patterns with pitchers a lot. So when I talk about Lance McCullers, Castillo, and Woodruff being luckier their last few starts, it's not just home runs, it's batted balls in play, right? So on the season, these guys are all the last couple of games between 50 and 75 points below their average batted balls in play given up, which tells me that there's some runs coming. And so even if they give up at their prices 3 to 4 runs, you know, that's I want to be off of that. And in particular, when I look at that and I say, all right, maybe it's not a team I want to attack, then I take a look at the bullpen. That's why I like Milwaukee quite a bit more than Cincinnati, because Cincinnati's bullpen, a little bit better lately, but still giving up almost 2 home runs per 9. Let's say they get Castillo out in 5 1/3, 5 2/3. That's 3 1/3 innings for that Milwaukee team, which has got some power and has been hitting a little better to operate. And I'm going to take that chance.
All right, guys, hit the like button. Just kidding. We're only at 29. So come on, 100 and I'll get you some swag. And I just learned Uncle T's birthday is today. So happy birthday, Uncle T. Way to go. Him and Joey Work are there and Fire Money. If I don't say your names, don't get upset at me. Come on, Costa. Hopefully you get your swag. If you didn't get your swag yet, you'll be fine. Fire. We got everybody in here. Joey Work is in here. Steve Anthony is in here. Oh, it's just a wonderful, wonderful day with
all the boys. All the boys are here for the last week of baseball. And more importantly, Uncle T's 50th birthday.
Oh, that's
50
right.
years. He's beat the odds.
He's the when he was born, they said he wouldn't make it 6 months. Somehow, 49 and a half years later. He is the oldest guy on with us, so that makes me feel good because I'm not. How old's Big T? Seriously, what do you think? Early 40s, Big T?
I would guess late 30s.
Really? What do you think?
I honestly have no clue, though. I have no clue.
Might be right. Uncle T, tell us in the chat how old your nephew is. Look, yeah, because he can't.
we need that info.
Yeah,
sorry, Uncle T. Sorry, Uncle T. I gave it away.
So I do got a question for you, JT, though, because I have, besides Degrom, or what pitchers are you really high on, or do you like, since it hasn't been any of the guys that, because whatever pitcher you're about to say, I think you're going to get your guys at low ownership because people, the route today is going to be paying up for sure. So list a couple of the guys that are your favorites and the reasons.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit more comfortable with Degrom at 70%. As a tournament guy, I never liked that. And one of our short members, Kay Fallick, was in there. He said, I'm not playing Degrom. And I knew he wouldn't be because it's not a tournament thing to do. You don't play a 70% on pitcher if you can help it. But the pitchers that I like to pair with him on Draftkings is going to be Marquez. It's going to be a little bit of Jakey Brubaker, taking on a Cubs team that can strike out a bit and is on the road. And I might play in 1 or 2 tournaments just because of how bad this team has been, Marco Gonzalez. I might actually play Marco Gonzalez in a couple tournaments because, conversely, I think Seattle gets to McCullers. So I think in Gonzalez, you may get 22 to 25 points on DraftKings. You might not. You might get his normal 3 to 4 against Houston, but this team has not been doing well. They scored 11 runs in their last 4 games at home. The Seattle ballpark is not an upgrade, especially not with the weather tonight. So I just don't think that McCullers on the road. I think he's gonna regress a little bit tonight.
All right, guys, let's get to the hitting side. The New York Yankees. Here's the last 6 games for the Yankees: 20 runs, 13 runs. I mean, they're obviously in decline. 10 runs. 6 runs, 8 runs, and then they got blown out 10-2. You know, here's the other thing before we get to these lineups. Like, how are we handling this? Because There's going to be a lot of new relievers coming in for teams that have clinched, and there's just going to be throwing guys at the wall at this point. JT, start this one off here because this is when it really gets crazy, usually the whole month of September, but I feel like we're on hyper speed with a bunch of dudes you never heard of going in and pitching in the bullpen and really getting in the lineup too.
Yeah, so there's the most obvious spot on the board is the Yankees. Matt Shoemaker making his first start in a month. He's going to be limited. They said around 60 pitches. And then coming in behind him for likely 5 innings is the absolute worst bullpen in baseball over the last 2 weeks. 601 xFIP. They're giving up 3.1 home runs per 9 innings. Yes, it's cold in Buffalo. The wind is blowing out a little bit to right field. I mean, the Yankees are in the smash spot, just as good a spot as they were in last week at home against this Toronto team, which just has nothing left in the bullpen, kind of on fumes trying to get into the playoffs here. It's just a great spot for the Yankees tonight.
Yeah, this might be my only bet in baseball today. I just love how this Yankees team just continues to crush. But let's get some individual plays from your title from this game. Basically, is 1 through 9 just up there for the Yankees? Like we can start anybody in this lineup and feel really good about it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Yankees are by far in the clear number one spot today. They're in their own tier. Giancarlo Stanton is the best play on the slate, my favorite play. 4.6K on DraftKings is just a misprice. I don't know what they were thinking. He's in the 3 hole, so lock and load him. Aaron Hicks in the 6 hole at 3.9K. That's way too cheap, too. The thing is, outfield is by far the best position today. You only can play 3. There's a couple other guys in value that we'll mention later, so that's the biggest decision of which 3 outfielders do you want to use your spots on. Stanton for sure will be one, and Hicks is definitely grading out as one of the best point per dollar plays, so he's up there. But then you're not playing Aaron Judge, but Aaron Judge is 5.7K and is a great tournament play if you are paying down at SP2 because he's going to be one of the lowest owned Yankees just because his price. I see you shaking your head, Holden.
No, I'm just looking at it's not from you. I'm
no,
not
yeah.
My head at you. I'm shaking my head at like every night the Yankees are 5.5 total, and finally their last game was the one game they didn't get it, and they're probably just going to smash that again. That's why I'm shaking my head, not because of anything you're saying. I'm just going, these guys are finally healthy and finally doing what we thought they'd do.
Yeah, this offense is definitely very scary. Like you literally can stack this lineup. You can stack this line. Sorry, I hit a button on my computer. Top to bottom. I like stacking the bottom of the order in tournaments when you are paying up at both your pitcher spots because nobody stacks the bottom of the lineups in tournaments. It's very contrarian. You'll get a 25% Yankees lineup and you'll get them at 5% just because you're not playing the top of the order. So Brett Gardner down there at 3.2K. He is in the 9 hole, but 3.2K is pretty much free. Luke Voit, 5.4K, has been absolutely mashing the baseball at a first base position that isn't great. So he's one of my favorite plays as well. I'm going to be trying to fit in as many Yankees in my lineup as I can. So that's JT. I'm going to probably have a Marco Gonzalez lineup now that you mention it, just because of his price, and it will get me more Yankees bats than I'll otherwise be able to. And that's why I like McCullers a little more than Castillo and Woodruff or Castillo today, because his price, he has a $1,500 price decrease that allows me to get a Luke Voit instead of an Anthony Rizzo or something like that. So Yankees are by far in the best matchup today. I will have a ton of them. And the last guy I'm going to mention is Gleyber Torres at 4.8K in the 5 hole. I don't love shortstop, and he stands out, and I want as much exposure to this offense as possible.
All right, JT, let's hear how are you handling the Yankees tonight? And then give us just a little rundown. You know what? You can start with this. Is anybody in Toronto in play here? Anybody interest you?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't full stack Toronto, but certainly Biggio, if he's leading off. I haven't seen that lineup come out. Travis Shaw, if you needed it, but just because lefties get pretty good contact against Michael King, pretty high. I think it was a 265 ISO against lefties. And on the Yankee side, look, the projections I'm looking at, and again, projections are always rough, especially right up until about a half hour before lock. I'm seeing the Yankees as the 3rd highest owned stack behind the Cardinals and the Cubs. So Maybe it's people, thinking about weather. Maybe it's people thinking Yankees on the road. I don't know, but this is a really good spot for them.
I don't know exactly how much I would rely on that because I saw that earlier in chat. I guess it's because of prices. Like Stanton's going to be one of the highest owned players. Gleyber Torres is going to be one of the highest owned. I think it's more so like the Judge and maybe even Voit in the other top because of prices and people going the Castillo Degrom routes. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
No, I think individual players are definitely going to be more highly on. I'm thinking collectively as a group. That's what I'm seeing is like in terms of, okay, you're going to run a 5-man. There's going to be more Cubs and St. Louis 5-mans. But again, sometimes it's wrong. I mean, there was one night last week I looked and I thought the Rockies were going to be around 25% owned, and they came in about 12. So with the exception of like one guy. So it's been a little bit unpredictable lately.
It'll be interesting too to see how deep Michael King goes in this game. I mean, if you get a couple of innings out of him, that might be the way. That might be it. He strikes out a little under a batter per 9 in the minors. He took a huge step back in 2019, and he's come up and he really has not impressed either. So I think everybody's on the Yankees. Title maybe just a little bit here of the top of the order for the Blue Jays if you wanted to sprinkle it in. I think 1 through 4 looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, I like Biggio. I haven't seen the lineup out yet, but I like Biggio. He's 4.6K on DraftKings, so it feels cheap and expensive at the same time. Just because he's the same price as Stanton. You're gonna play Stanton over him. However, Biggio is also third base eligible, and third base isn't a great position. So I like Toronto a little bit. I do want to see the order. I will be avoiding the outfielders, which is Gurriel and Grichuk, just because there's other better plays in the outfield. But I'll definitely sprinkle in some other guys at other positions other than outfield if they're at the top of the order, because it's not a great slate for hitting. There's games like we're going to talk about, like those Reds Brewers game, where I personally don't have too much interest in any of the hitters. I know JT does, but there's just not great hitting spots in today's slate. So I'll have some Toronto at the top of the order. That's not if they're not in the outfield.
JT, what do you love about the Brewers in particular tonight? Because this is they've got an implied total of about 3.5. That's not through the roof. I think a lot of people are going to look at that and go, I'm not bothering with that game. So give us a little lowdown, dude. Dig that up a little bit.
Yeah, I listen, if you're a slave to Vegas, you're not going to love this game, right? If that's what you look at and you say, this is what I do, oh my God, these are 2 aces. And I have this with guys in chat all the time in our Discord, and and we did this, honestly, we did this Saturday night. The Braves had Ian Anderson pitching. Ian Anderson's a rookie. He's been good. I'm looking at the slate, trying to make lineups, and I'm like, where do I see runs tonight? And I just started looking, and Ian Anderson was a guy who had a recent BABIP of like 1 something, very low. And he's a rookie, and he's coming off a game where he pitched 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. So I go in Discord and I say, you know what? The Mets are intriguing to me. I'm going to play the Mets. And I didn't get attacked because enough guys trust these intuitions now. But I did have a number of guys say, but Ian Anderson's a good pitcher. He is. I stack against good pitchers all the time. If you're playing tournaments and you're not stacking against good pitchers, then you're losing and you're not winning, because you've got to find the days when these pitchers are going to underperform their expectations. So all the things I look at, I think for both these pitchers, it's the 3rd time they're facing the team this season. It's usually been an indicator where the hitters have seen them. There's enough video now. They've also seen their pitchers live in action. These pitchers, both teams are familiar with. Now they've had 8 or 9 at-bats against them. And I look at the advanced stats where both Castillo and Woodruff are benefiting from a batted balls in play average against of under 200 in their last 2 starts. Those balls are going to get through the middle. Something's going to happen. It always does. This has not failed me all year, and I'm going to play the way I play. And you know what? Here's what I say if you're sitting there thinking I'm insane for doing this. That's fine. You don't have to do that. You can play the safer plays. But if these teams go off, and I might just game stack this just because of all the grief I'm getting today, I might do 5 lineups with a game stack. If these teams go off, you're going to be so far ahead of everyone else on a night where the highest implied run total in the Yankees was 6-1. It's now come down to 5-8. If they go off and I'm right, you're going to win. And so am I.
No, I like it. I mean, it's not only it's an ownership thing too. If you're going to get these guys at 3%, that's saying you pretty much only need to be right 3% of the time, and then you're going to win all the money. In GPPs, we always talk about it. You want first place, you want second place. All the prize pools are so top heavy. You don't want to play for a min cash. So, you've been very successful. I like the calls in tournaments for sure. I'm more of a cash guy and I do look at Vegas and a lot of stuff like that. So that's why you get both opinions. Whatever player you are, if you're more of a single end or not even necessarily single entry, less risk averse and more of a cash, then you got that kind of plays, and don't play that. Obviously, don't play the Reds and Brewers in cash. But if you're making a couple lineups in Bayfield tournaments, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll say this too for guys that have been playing, 6 months, a year and a half, and they're sitting there and they're like, yeah, but I can't stack against those guys. They're too good. I'm scared to do it. I was there. It probably took me 2 years to realize, looking at my own history, looking at what winning players were doing, to see. And then I backtracked and said, well, how do I figure out when these pitchers are going to have a blow-up game? When are they going to have a bad game? And I started looking at that. So without going into too much detail, you don't have to play these guys. It took me a while to get to the point where I felt comfortable doing it, but I trust my own gut. You know what? If I'm wrong tonight, I'm still going to have other lineups that have the Yankees. I'm still going to have other lineups that have the Cardinals. So it's just something that has worked out well for me, and that's why I'm telling you my plays, because when they hit, just like the Mets did on Saturday night, that's what's going to win you a tournament.
So my question would be then, you look at the lineup there, where do you attack it? Yelich. I mean, do you really play Braun against a righty? Hira, Jerko, I think is kind of interesting. Narvaez has some pop. Like, is there any particular part of the order you're going to be going after tonight? Yeah.
Keston Hira is actually much, much better, far and away much better against right-handed pitching. You've got Yelich. Title talked about Vogelback, who this is his third team this year, just like Jake Lamb, right? Something's up with these guys. They need a new start. Something's going on. It's the order. It's the hitting coach. It's the methodology, whatever it is. And now all of a sudden, Vogelback's hitting the ball hard. Narvaez is projected to be in the 9 hole. No one's going to own him either. So for me, and Braun, by the way, maybe, who knows? Who knows what he's doing? But he's hitting the ball hard. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of Yelich, Hira, Vogelback, Narvaez, and I'll slide maybe an Orlando Arcia, who can go up. And again, keep this in mind. If they get Castillo to run up that pitch count, if they're able to do that and get him out of there before the 6th, you get a bad bullpen. And so all these guys come in play after that. You can play Avi Sayel at the top of the lineup. Jerko doesn't interest me that much tonight, but I think the 5 I'll focus on for the most part are going to be Yelich, Hira, Vogelback, Narvaez, and Arcia.
Ryan Braun is Mr. September. This dude just absolutely crushes the ball in September for whatever reason it is. But if you're playing the Brewers too, you can play the righties against Castillo because you're banking on that bullpen and multiple at bats against the bullpen. So I wouldn't leave out Ryan Braun in your Brewers stacks for sure.
Yeah, and this is a team that's a 500 team that's actually in this season has a shot to get in the playoffs too. They keep this in mind. The Brewers, I think they're 26-26. They are right on the heels of, I believe it's the Reds who might be in front of them. And they've played a few less games because of the coronavirus issue with the Cardinals earlier in the year. They've got some makeup games as well. So, or maybe they won't make them up. It'll go based on winning percentage. Based on winning percentage, they're almost in a tie for one of the last playoff spots. So this team has a lot to play for, and that's important this week too. Something we're going to talk about every day is what are the lineups looking like? Who has a lot to play for?
All right, Title, anything else on this? I came into the show. I did not think we would spend 10 minutes on that game, and I'm glad we did. Because I'll tell you this much. If you're watching the show and the Brewers go off, there's going to be a whole bunch of Run Pure Sports guys at the top. So love it.
Yeah.
Love it. You love the insight there. Anything, Title? Anything else in this game?
No, I don't. If it goes off, it's not me. It's JT. That's JT's call for sure.
Go Brewers, right?
Go Brewers. Go Brewers is right. I'll be cheering for that. That's for sure.
All right. So the next game we get to is the Cubs and the Pirates. I mean, it's John Lester tonight. We're not too excited about John Lester on one side. And then the other side is Jakey Brubaker. I mean, it's really nice. He gets you 5 innings every single start, strikes out about 1 per inning. He's been leaving a couple of guys. He's been putting a couple of guys on base. He got rocked in his last start against the White Sox. But Title, I don't like anything in this game. Am I wrong?
Well, I do like picking on John Lester.
I
didn't, not necessarily wrong because again, I'm going to keep mentioning it. The outfield is so stacked, and for Pittsburgh, I like Brian Reynolds a lot. He's 2.7K. Gregory Polanco's 2.8K. But can you play these guys when they're Stanton and Judge and all that? Brian Reynolds is actually one of my favorite plays on the slate because how cheap he is at 2.7K in the leadoff hole. And I love picking on John Lester. So they have a low implied total. It is cold in there. So their ownership is going to be down because people that are just going to look at that. But I like picking on John Lester, so I'm going to go back to it. Josh Bell, 4.3K, feels a little bit expensive, but we know how the power he has. Eric Gonzalez is in the 3 hole at 3.9K against Lester. I like that a lot. I just like picking on Lester, and I'm going to focus on the top of the order just because people aren't going to play him regardless, so I'm not worried about the ownership. So definitely give me a couple Pittsburgh bats. I'm not going to be full stacking them, but I'm going to have a couple of one-offs or mini stacks, hoping he gets blown up. And then going to the Cubs side, I'm going to have some Cubs. They are fairly priced. Anthony Rizzo, 4.1, Schwarber, 4, Ian Happ, 4.4. They saw Brubaker, I think it was 3 weeks ago or something like that. They didn't get a ton of runs on them, but they had like 8 hits, or they left a ton of runners on base. They just couldn't capitalize. So they've already seen them. I like that for the Cubs. And I think they're going to get like 5 runs on them, I'm going to call. I think the Cubs do have a pretty good performance. They're on the road, so they're guaranteed 9th inning at bat. And on a hitting slate where no one really stands out besides the Yankees, I think this could be a sneaky little game stack. And I'm liking the over a little bit more now that I'm talking about it too. But it worries me a little bit because JT does have some interest in Brubaker. But I'm going to have some Cubs bats as one-offs. Anthony Rizzo and Schwarber are my 2 favorites. And then Victor Caratini, 2.4K. Catcher is always weak. I always like going down and punting catcher. So he sticks out because he is a pretty good bat. So I'm interested to hear what JT says. I don't think he's going to be as interested in the Cubs as I am because he likes Brubaker a little bit. But I definitely do like Chicago and some of Pittsburgh bats.
What's up, JT? What do you got?
Yeah, so for me on the Pittsburgh side, it's Lester just hasn't been – he doesn't have that swing and miss stuff anymore. He doesn't have this high strikeout upside. The Pirates, they seem to do this every year. They start off really terrible and they strike out all the time, and then they improve little by little. And they're so cheap tonight. Brian Hayes, my brother, as everybody knows, is at third base, at a weaker third base position, is one of my favorite plays. I love Reynolds. I put Colin Moran in the playbook just because Colin Moran can actually hit a ball off a lefty, and Lester doesn't scare me, and nobody will own him. So on the Cubs side, I do have interest in Brubaker, but I think when you look at their prices, you could see where you could pop 1 or 2 of them in a lineup, and Anthony Rizzo at 4.1 is a little bit too cheap. He's almost the same level of cheap as Eugenio Suarez is, what we talked about earlier on DraftKings at 3.6. So he's not a bad one-off, but overall, I'll have more Brubaker than I will have Cubs tonight.
All right, let's get to the next one here. We've got Miami and Atlanta. All right, so Atlanta, they're kind of in a decent spot, aren't they, going up against Trevor Rogers tonight? Rogers actually had 2 really good starts before it didn't go very well for him against Philadelphia. So, you know what, before we get in, JT, what do you think about Rogers tonight? Like, I can't imagine he's going to be highly owned. He does have a good arm, but this is a horrible matchup, isn't it?
Yeah, the Braves have been susceptible now and then to lefties that they haven't seen before, which is the case with Rogers. He just, first of all, he's too expensive for me to consider on either site. The Braves are in a position where, if they win another couple of games, I think they clinch. The Marlins, on the other hand, the Marlins are actually a little bit more interesting to me than the Braves because Huascar, I think that's how you say his name, Huascar Ynoa. Ynoa, is that it? All right. Had a really, really good start against the Orioles. came out because of back stiffness or side stiffness after 4 scoreless innings. And that's not the type of pitcher he is. So you've got guys like Corey Dickerson and Matt Joyce who are pretty cheap. I don't love this game overall, I'll be honest. I can see taking a shot with the Braves just because the Marlins have I think it's the fifth worst bullpen in baseball over the last 2 weeks, and something like the second or third worst over the course of the year. So I could see that. But overall, I'll have less of this game than I will some of the others.
Title, what do you got in here?
Yeah, the problem with the Braves, I actually like the spot a little bit, but the problem is they're just so expensive and they're priced the same as the Yankees. And I'm obviously going to be choosing the Yankees over the Braves. So I'm not going to get a lot of Braves just because of the pricing. The one that really sticks out to me is Austin Riley at 3.8K at a third base position that isn't great. So if I have anybody, it's going to be him as a one-off. But I just can't pay 5.9 for Acuna or 5.5 for Freeman when Luke Voigt's 5.4, Stanton's 4.6. So that's just not going to lead me to Atlanta at all. And I don't have too much interest in Miami as well. You could a couple one-offs, I guess. I'm not even going to mention any one-offs because I'm not going to have any. But if there's someone that you like, you can make a case for it. But it's a no for me. I'm going to be underweight on this game for sure and not have too many pieces.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people like that. Tampa Bay and the Mets. All right, so I don't want to take Tampa Bay out of the equation because Degrom does get hit. I highly doubt you're recommending too much. On the other side of things, we got the New York Mets, and the Mets are going up against Pete Fairbanks. This is just another opener. So basically, they're going against the bullpen
Fleming.
today.
Yeah.
Fleming, yeah, they're going opener,
yeah.
Fleming, bullpen, boom. That's the way it's going. So, all right, Title. You hitting Fleming tonight? You going against you going with the Mets?
No, I don't really like the Mets. Again, I can't make a case for this game in general because it is more of a bullpen. It's Fleming's the guy that we know is going to probably pitch the most innings, but I don't really know how many that'll even be. I just don't love targeting bullpen games as much in general, so it's a no for me for anyone in this game.
How about you, JT?
Yeah, I don't particularly love this spot. I mean, this is effective for Tampa Bay, right? This is why it works because it's kind of a pain it's kind of a pain to figure out. All right, Fairbanks is going to pitch an inning. If he gets through it in under 15 pitches, he might come out and throw another out or two, and then you're going to get Fleming, and then who knows in the back end. So matchups become more unpredictable. I do like the fact that they've got McNeil in the 2-hole. I just saw that. Lineup came out. He's an outfielder. Outfielder's loaded, but McNeil's been hitting the ball very well. Fairbanks, like you said, just another opener. He's began to hit as of late. So that might be the one guy that I take a look at and say maybe. But other than that, I don't see much outside of Degrom for me in this game.
Not much outside of Degrom. Okay, totally understandable. Hit the like button, guys. You're 34 short, and ladies. 34 shy of 100. Once we get to 100, one of you is going to get some swag. So I'm looking forward to handing some of that out. Our next game, St. Louis and Kansas City. I don't remember you guys saying very much about Adam Wainwright. Title, did you say much about Wainwright, JT, either one of you guys? Like, he's high priced too tonight.
And he's too high priced. He's just never a guy I really target or I really play in DF. He always seems to be a better real life pitcher and limits damage more than he has the upside that I look for. So no Wainwright. And
they got Carlos Hernandez going on the other side of things. There's a guy that's going to throw 2 or 3 innings too, and then they'll hand it over. So JT, anything at all in this game. I mean, St. Louis is going to be a little popular tonight.
Yeah, St. Louis is looking like they're going to be, again, if projections are right, one of the top 2 highest owned stacks on the slate. And I do think that there's some value here for St. Louis against Hernandez in a bullpen that over the course of the season has been not quite good. They've been a little bit better as of late, but it's a game that I'll have a little bit on the Cardinals side. I do like Mondesi a little bit. Mondesi is a guy who, even at his price tonight, if he gets a single or a double, he can steal a couple of bases, and if he does that twice, you're looking at a breakout performance. So, but I do like the Cardinals a little bit here. I'm not concerned about Carlos Hernandez. He's not exactly very good yet. Maybe he will be in the future, but he certainly isn't there right now.
And there's a full fade for you or any Cardinals today, Title?
Hold on. This guy in the chat goes, when will there be an RPS thong for my girl? that made me laugh. That was a good one. But
You
Cardinals,
you just go. This is what
maybe
railed the show for.
Maybe that was just funny to me, but I had to bring that up and give that dude props because it made me laugh. But Colton Wong's my second favorite player on the slate behind this guy. And that's just because position eligibility at second base is that bad. And he's 4.2K. So, and I haven't seen a Cardinals lineup out yet. Have you guys seen one?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So if Colton Wong's in the one hole as we're expecting, he is my favorite play of the slate. Paul DeJong is too cheap at 4.3K. Brad Miller, 4.7K feels a little expensive, but I would include him in my Cardinals stacks. And then Tyler O'Neill at 3.1K also feels too cheap, but it again is in the outfield position that is so loaded today. So I'm not going to have as much interest there. I'm not going to stack up the Cardinals because position eligibility and other spots that I like more, like the Yankees, but Colton Wong and Paul DeJong are my two favorites that I'll have a lot because they're second and shortstop eligible.
I like that. Last game to get to. Is there one or two more? Let's see here. We got two. So Houston going up against Marco Gonzalez. He's been limited in the contact, man, the hard contact. Seattle is going to face Lance McCullers. I mean, do you even have a one-off from this, JT? Is there a one-off you can find?
Yeah, look, this is a tough game because, I mean, for me, this is a tough game to analyze because I don't, for reasons I said before, I don't love McCullers. Gonzalez it's going to go one of two ways. Either Gonzalez is going to go, 7 innings, have 4 or 5 Ks, and they'll get a run off him, or he's going to get destroyed. And if he gets destroyed, like the Astros normally do, then they're going to get into what has been one of the bottom 3 bullpens in baseball for 5 innings or more. So it's scary to fade the Astros here, but that's how bad they've been. And now they go on the road. And like I said, this isn't a ballpark upgrade. It's about equal, quite honestly, with the weather out there. So I'll have some shares of Gonzalez just because his price is quite low. And I'm talking about Draftkings. I probably won't touch him on FanDuel. But I might also have some shares of the Astros just in case this is the night they break out of this slump and they're able to get into that bullpen pretty quickly. On the flip side, I like the Mariners. I'm going to take some chances with the Mariners tonight. Probably stick to the top of that lineup. Wouldn't go any further down than Marmolejos. And they make decent one-offs in a lineup with the Yankees if you're trying to get 2 of the more expensive pitchers.
What do you like about that, though?
It's a play against McCullers. I think McCullers is going to end up being more popular than he should be on the road, given what I see from the advanced metrics. Again, and it's only 1 start, but a 133 batted ball is in play. Let's say that goes up to 210, all right, and he gets 16 or 17. The way these Mariners are priced, a couple of homers, a couple of base hits, and you're in the running there with a little 3-man to run back with your higher price stack.
All right, guys, hit that button. Hit that like button. We're getting closer to 100, so want to get some free swag. Next game to get to here will be the last game, right?
Well, I got one play from the Astros.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I don't have too much interest in this game. I'm not going to mention Seattle because I do like McCullers and we'll be playing them. But on the Astros, Yuli Gurriel, 3.1K is way too cheap at a first base position when I want Degrom and I want other Yankee bats. So 3.1K, if he's in the 5 hole, I definitely like Gurriel. So he's my one guy. I mean, Springer's there. Altuve, I'm done playing Jose Altuve. He is absolutely garbage. So I'm not going there. He could be 2K and if he was 2K, I'd play him, but I'm not going there at 4.3K. Alex Bregman's a little too expensive at 4.9K. So it's more of a stay away game for me, except Yuli Gurriel at 3.1K is just a complete misprice.
Okay, last game to get to. Title, I'll just stick with you real quick because we got the Rockies and the Giants. I'm not targeting Cueto, and I'm not targeting the other side of this game either because I don't like targeting Marquez. I heard you like Marquez a little bit, so give me a bat or two or just throw it out the window.
Throw it out the window. I'm with you.
JT, are you throwing this game in the trash, or do you have a one-off?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not throwing the game in the trash because I like Marquez,
Right.
but I can't pay that price for Cueto, and I just don't think I'm going to go to the Colorado side. That's the side that I would target in this game. I don't know that I'm going to get there.
Okay. Boys, let's do some stacks. JT, since you're going tourney on us tonight, number one stacks Milwaukee, who's 2 and 3.
Yeah, listen. Number one stack is the Yankees. There's no question about that. Yankees are number one. I would put for me. I'll have Milwaukee 2, and then my third ranked stack is probably, I don't know. I'm going to mix and match on a lot of these. So I'll have a lot of Yankees. I'll have a lot of Brewers, and then I'll have mini stacks of everything from the Pirates, the Reds, maybe the Braves, and maybe the Mariners. So that's kind of what's going to make up most of my pool tonight.
Okay. Very good, amigos. How about you, Mr. Titletown?
Yankees, absolutely. The Cardinals because of Wong and DeJong's prices and position eligibility. And then it's the Cubs / Pirates. I like that game in general. I think that game, I do like that game compared to all the other ones. So those two in general are tied for third.
All right, who's you got for a home run or a one-off title?
Colton Wong. It's hitting one out. Well, I mean, this guy, of course, is going to hit one out, but that's a freebie. That's a given. Colton Wong's my other guy.
How about you, JT?
Keston Hiura, and I got to go with the family, man. Brian Hayes.
All right. You guys look a lot alike, that's right.
It'd be easy.
What's that?
He is your brother, correct?
Absolutely.
They look very much alike.
I
Okay.
can't believe you guys can't see the resemblance. It's hurtful.
It'd be easier if Coors was on the slate and the Dodgers, and I could just say Gavin Lux every slate.
You know, are there any more games at Coors this year, or are we done? Do we still have more games?
I hope there's a weekend slate because otherwise Title is going to be despondent. He's not going to come on.
It's sad. It was sad changing the background. I don't like it. That's for sure. Coors slates are definitely the best, and I'm not sure if they have another slate. I don't think they have another game, and that's definitely sad if they don't.
This Astros lineup just came out, and there's no George Springer. It's Miles Straw in the leadoff hole,
and he's got to be really cheap.
He's 2-4.
Hold on, are you dumpster diving for Miles Straw?
What?
I don't know if I'll be because I know I won't need it.
Title, is this Miles Straw tonight? Lock button?
No, I mean, not lock button, but 2.4. If you land on 2.4, you can definitely go worse than a leadoff hitter against. Yeah, I mean, I'll have a little Miles Straw.
Yeah, for cash, absolutely.
Listen, I'm going to give you guys like 3 or 4 more minutes to get to 100 likes. I like giving stuff away. I really love doing it. So why don't we spend the last couple of minutes of this show, since we're done with baseball, recap our weekend. How does that sound? Huh? JT, you go first because I've heard everything Title was going to say. Me and him do all these shows. We're doing podcasts. I know what he's going to say. What are you going to say? How'd it go?
In terms of overall life, or in terms of
the slate yesterday.
Oh, so yesterday.
I don't care about your life. I care about your football picks.
Holden. That's touches me right here. It was an interesting. Even though I went 75% Derrick Henry, I made about $18. I had about 2,000 in play between both sites, and I got lucky. I had the Buccaneers defense almost everywhere. That was my favorite defense of the week. And I had about 60% Aaron Jones, and I had a lot of Matt Ryan and a lot of Dak Prescott. So a couple of receivers let me down. T.Y. Hilton didn't get there. Allen Robinson, who I'm going to go right back to this week. The Bears come into Atlanta. It's going to be fantastic, but not a bad one. And then Saturday night, actually, Friday and Saturday, I won a couple of grand on FanDuel with MLB. So that was it wasn't bad.
Look at you. How about you, Title? How'd you do? I know you're not good. Not good. Devontae Adams was just a. Did you play Devontae?
Of course.
No,
Yeah, no.
I couldn't fit him in on DraftKings, so I went down to Hopkins. I got lucky. Seriously, because I wanted to jam Adams in so badly. But I went up to Zeke and Henry, and thank God everybody else had Henry, so my cash game lineups this week were spectacular. But the tournament was not as – they didn't really do well in the tournaments, but the cash was good. So you had Adams. Who else did you go to?
It's Chris Herndon. I'm never playing a Jets player ever again. Every single tight end that literally every single tight end. Every tight end did great. Logan Thomas didn't do great, but he did better than one or whatever it was from Herndon. So I played a Jets player in cash on both sites, and I paid for it, and I deserved to lose. So it wasn't a good cash slate at all. It was bad. But tournaments, I had a lot of Josh Allen, a lot of Dak. I had Aaron Jones as in a lot of tournaments. So tournaments kind of helped, but it didn't help enough. Definitely wasn't a good Sunday. But hey, we're back with showdowns today. We're back with some baseball, and you live and you learn. I'm still tweaking my process, looking at it. I still liked my process. I didn't expect Adams to get 6. Paris Campbell was another one I had in cash on FanDuel.
What are you gonna do? That's you can't do anything about it.
So I mean, that's just I didn't run Pier, but hey, you don't always run Pier. That's all why, right. Yeah. But I also I saw Joey Work giving out a free play for everyone. Seattle first 5. He's with you, JT, on Gonzalez. So wanted to mention that. I saw that in the chat. He's not liking my McCullers side. It looks like I'm on my own on this one, but hey, I'm sticking with it. But it definitely doesn't make me feel great with Joey and JT against it.
Such an uncomfortable play, though. Like putting money on the Mariners is so uncomfortable, but you just got to look at the.
Why do you say that? Honestly, they've been, to me, one of the most surprising teams this season. Even after they traded Austin Nola, they've still continued to do work against some of the better pitchers. It's been pretty incredible. I feel I've gained confidence in the Mariners as the season has gone on. So I love it. I might have to stack it. I wrote in the playbook. How wild would a Milwaukee-Seattle stack be tonight? Because I'm going to have some.
Okay. All right. Very good. Fire Money saying I touted Juju last week. Did I tout? I probably did if people are saying I did it. But again, Deontay Johnson saved my cash lineup. That was it.
I had Deontay Johnson too.
And pivoting from Adams, not because I thought Hopkins was a better play, just because I didn't have the money to get to Adams. You get lucky, man. That's it. I got lucky this week with cash. I think what was he, 90%? I think Henry was between 88 and like 92% on every single one of my cash lineups on DK. It was amazing. And he just pooped the bed. And then Mostert, I'm so pumped about my boy Mostert, and then he goes down. He was off to a great start.
Right when I saw his 80-yard touchdown right away, I thought he right away, Holden, because you say he's a Tyreek Hill. He's
Tyreek Hill. And my other guy, Kyler. Everybody played Kyler, though. You had to play Kyler. Play him again this week. He's like 6,800 or 6,700 on DK. Like, how do you not go back to this guy? He's absolutely
he's a stud.
It could be kind of weird, though, because we got no Mahomes, no Jackson.
Well, do we have the MVP in Russell Wilson? Already say it. All right, say it right. I'll say it right now. Russell Wilson is he's not the best. I mean, Mahomes probably a little better. I don't know, but Russell Wilson is very good at football, and he's fun to watch. So what a performance he put on yesterday, and what a performance Cam put on. That was a very fun game to watch.
All right, guys, that'll do it. You came up 18 short. A little disappointed. We're limping into the baseball playoffs. So, it's hurt. Come on. Tomorrow, come back with the energy. This is our last week. We got 4 more shows to go. 4 more baseball shows, and then it's football, and more football, which is totally awesome, which I can just talk football in my sleep. It's great. All right, guys, great work. Both of you. JT, take care of yourself. Title, take care of yourself. You and me are doing the pod Wednesday. Yep. Me and Uncle T and Rubio, me, Uncle T, and G Risen are doing the old guys pod Tuesday, and then the young guys with Title and Rubio. Listen to that pod. It's a fun one. I'm also going to hang out on the Sweat Show on the bet side tonight. I love those guys. I got to tell you one thing. I love live betting, and hey, it's only 2 weeks, but they've been crushing. So good. If you want to win some money, go sign up for the bets and get into the bet side. For JT and Captain back in the